is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Southwest.
Last night, your Rangers smoldered a bit in their way to a 3-2 loss to the Twins. Tonight, in the Texas heat, they look to catch fire one more time as they take on the Minnesota Twins in Game 2 of the weekend series. And welcome in, everyone, along with Tom Graves, Steve Busby. Glad you could join us on this Saturday night of Ranger baseball. And the Rangers behind Matt Garza looking for at least an evening of the series against Minnesota tonight, trying to get back on the winning track. And one guy you turn to going down the stretch, and this is the stretch drive, a guy that has the track record, the leadership capabilities, and for the Rangers, that is Adrian Beltre, Tom.
No doubt it, Buzz. And, you can't win in baseball 19 games in a month if everybody doesn't chip in and do their job. And the Rangers have had a lot of guys, from the bullpen to the starters to the position players to the bench. Everybody's played well this month, but the main guy has been Adrian Beltre. And late in the ball game, he's a bad guy to hang a pitch to. Bad guy to throw a ball down the middle of the plate to, because more often than not, when the Rangers have needed it, he's come through. Not just with a long ball. He's hit 385 this month, over 107 at bats. He's hit over 400. Those are the numbers in August, and what the Rangers hope, what Adrian will be trying to do, is stay just as hot in the month of September as he has been the last 2 months.
Yeah, he doesn't show signs of slowing down whatsoever as we come to the last day of the month of August. Rangers trying to earn their 20th. They'll have Matt Garza on the hill tonight, looking for a win in a Ranger uniform. Twins and Rangers coming up next on Fox Sports Southwest. brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Don't miss the Ford Summer Spectacular featuring blockbuster deals. Now playing at your best in Texas Ford dealer. By AT U-verse TV. Check availability at 1-800-PIT-ATT. Rethink possible. And by Progressive. Visit Progressive.com today. Another warm night. Temperatures a little bit over 100 degrees. And before we get things started, let's head down to the field where Allie Lucia is standing by. Allie?
Thanks, Buzz. Definitely hot down here by the dugout. Matt Garza looking for win number 10 on the season tonight. And I talked to catcher A.J. Przinsky about what he has done since Garza has joined the staff.
Not only does he add depth, but he also adds experience and stuff, and he can go out and dominate teams and win games for you. So, I mean, I know that, yeah, he goes out and takes the ball and gives you, it's almost 7 innings almost every time. But at the same time, he can go out and win games, dominate lineups, and save bullpen guys, and also win games and get you to a point where, hey, this guy's pretty good.
That is tonight's Geico quote of the game. And Garza has been chipping in to help out the Rangers to 19 wins in August. He has 2 wins in the month of August. Buzz and Tom?
All right, Allie, thank you very much. Good stuff, and hopefully Matt Garza will make a winner out of Ron Washington and the Texas Rangers here this evening. The Rangers trying to get back on the winning side of things. The lineup for Minnesota that will face Matt Garza tonight looks like this. Brian Dozier, the second baseman, leads off. Chris Herman catches, bats second. Josh Willingham is in left field. The DH is Ryan Domet. He bats cleanup. Trevor Plouffe at third base, bats fifth. Then it's Chris Colabello, the first baseman. Lee Thomas bats seventh, plays center. The right fielder is Darren Mastriani. And Pedro Florimon bats ninth and plays shortstop.
And we'll look at the progressive scouting report for Matt Garza. He's had 18 starts this year, split between the Cubs and the Rangers. Overall, he's 9-3 with a 3.69 ERA. 7 hits and at least 4 runs allowed in each of his last 5 starts. Multiple home runs allowed in 3 of his last 4 games. And it hasn't been a case over his last 5 starts that he's had bad stuff. It's just been a case of not making enough pitches on the corners and getting too many pitches near the middle of the plate. Matter of his command within the strike zone. Stuff has been fine.
So Matt Garza will try to limit this Minnesota team, who did all their damage within the span of 3 hitters last night. A walk and 2 home runs, and that was the sum total of their offense against Yu Darvish and the Rangers. But it was enough, as the Twins bullpen and Liam Hendricks shut down the Ranger offense pretty well in the first game back here at home. But here's Brian Dozier. Dozier led off that 7th inning with a fateful walk. The first pitch from Garza is inside for ball 1. Dozier hitting at .242, 14 home runs, and 56 driven in. An even 100 degrees here at first pitch. High in the air down the right side. That will twist back and out of play. And the count evens at a ball and a strike. Twins come in 30-39 away from target field. Their road record in the bottom third of the American League. Ron Gardenhire's club has made up a lot of ground, though, against Western Division foes. They are 14-6 against the West. Towering drive down the left field line. It's hooking into the corner. It is gone. Well, Brian Dozier, a leadoff home run, number 15 for the year. And just like that, the Twins have a 1-0 lead.
Dozier is definitely a guy that's an extra base threat at the plate, especially on a pitch middle in where that pitch was. He can really turn on the fastball, and he did it right there. Got his feet wet in the big leagues last year, and he's kind of a force right now, the way he's been pounding the baseball. That's his 15th home run on the season. Not a lot of second basemen are providing the kind of extra base power that Dozier's given to the Twins.
That makes Brian Dozier the most prolific home run hitter for Twins second baseman in the history of their franchise. He passes Tim Tuffle, and his 15th home run, and then just sneaking it in inside that foul pole. So, shades of last night. 1-0 Minnesota. And Chris Herman, who had one of the 2 home runs in last night's ball game, takes outside. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Herman hitting at just .219, the Tomball, Texas native. Takes the breaking ball, and it's 2-1. Herman played a bit at Alvin Community College before transferring down to University of Miami to finish up his collegiate work. Takes outside, 3 balls and a strike. And Matt Garza, after giving up the leadoff home run, now falling behind Herman, trying to get aboard in front of the left fielder, Josh Willingham. Next pitch, high and away, ball 4. Oh, home run, now a walk. And Josh Willingham will be coming up. Ranger defense tonight looks like this. Murphy, Martin, and Rios left, center, and right. Moreland at first. Kinsler and Profar up the middle. Adrian Beltre at third. A.J. Brzezinski catching. And Matt Garza is on the hill. The umpiring crew tonight. Wally Bell calling the balls and strikes. Marvin Hudson at first. Crew chief Tim McClellan at second. Marty Foster over at third. Now 1 on, nobody out. Josh Willingham moved up a slot to hit number 3 as Justin Morneau traded this afternoon by the Twins to the Pirates. The fastball strike. It is 0-1. Ron Gardner's club. There had been rumors about Willingham also being a late August trade. He was claimed off waivers by the Baltimore Orioles, but apparently the Twins and the Orioles couldn't work out a trade.
That's kind of funny. Justin Morneau hits a home run to beat the Rangers last night. Rangers get the good fortune of not having to face him the next 2 days. But on the next homestand, he comes back here with the Pirates, so we will see him again.
1 ball, 1 strike. Garza back to the plate. A rip and a miss on the breaking ball.
A good location with that slider down and away.
Talking about Willingham last night. It's been an injury-plagued season for Willingham. Just 91 games, but he has been less than 100% much of the time he's been in the lineup. 1-2 pitch from Garza. Now 2-2. Last year, Willingham had a career year power-wise. He had 35 home runs, drove in 110. Both those career highs. Hit .260. The 2-2. And the count is full. Well, Matt Garza here in the early going having little trouble nailing that strike zone down.
Hey, he's had trouble locating his fastball where he wants to locate it, not just today, but over the last 5 starts.
Well, we'll see if Ron Gardner turns Chris Herman, the runner at first, loose on this next pitch. Garza set. A check of Herman. There he goes. The pitch. Call strike 3. The throw to second. And they got it. Strike him out, throw him out, double play started on the call, 3rd strike.
Well, he didn't throw him a fastball on the 3-2 pitch. He threw him a slider for strike 3, and A.J. delivered a strike of his own to second base. Definitely a strike, and a good throw by A.J. You know, you're 1 pitch away from being ball 4, 2 walks in a row, 2 men on, nobody out, 14 pitches. Instead, the slider for strike 3, the great throw from A.J. And now you've got 2 outs, 2 quick outs on 1 pitch.
And Ryan Domit takes the slow breaking ball inside for ball 1. Domit, .241 the average, a switch hitter with 11 home runs, 49 driven in. Garza back to him and fires a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. Garza winds, and the pitch fouled away. It's 1-2. Now tomorrow, the 1st of September, and of course the rosters expand for all the clubs. They go up to a maximum of 40 guys in the 40-man roster, and Rangers expect to have some help in the offing. Certainly Neftali Feliz has been talked about. He did not throw his scheduled assignment yesterday. It took just outside. And not because of health reasons. Rangers just didn't have him do that so that he would be available if Ron Washington needed him tomorrow once he's active. Alexi Ogando on the disabled list through a 35-pitch bullpen today. Breaking ball, chop foul, and the count is 2-2.
Well, it doesn't sound like Alexi is a candidate to start, but he should be, based on his starting experience this year, stretched out enough to come in relief and give you multiple innings, a couple of innings. And the same with Felice. He's already done that. So you've got a couple of good arms out there that can give you a couple of innings if you need them.
2-2 pitch, got him swinging. Slider in the dirt. Doman is gone. Back-to-back strikeouts. That ends the first. But Brian Dozier with a leadoff home run gets the Twins on the board. We go to the bottom of the first. 1-0 Minnesota. Delivered by DeMontron RV. Leonis Martin will lead off. He's the center fielder. Elvis Andrus DHs tonight, bats second. Ian Kinsler, the second baseman, is next. Then Adrian Beltre. A.J. Brzezinski bats fifth. Alex Rios, the right fielder, is next. Mitch Moreland bats seventh, plays first. The shortstop is Jurickson Profar. And batting ninth, the left fielder, David Murphy.
Now look at the scouting report for Mike Pelfrey. He's 5-10. His ERA is over 5 in 24 starts. Sunday he had a no decision at Cleveland. 5 innings, only gave up 1 run, but he walked 6. Doesn't give up a lot of home runs. If you go back over a fairly long period of time, 212 innings going into past years, he's only given up 14 home runs. So he's a sinker ball pitcher, ground ball pitcher, doesn't give up a lot of home runs.
Pitch way inside. Leonis Martin running up as if to bunt and almost ran right into that pitch. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Pelfrey was hurt most of last season. In fact, just about the whole season. He had Tommy John surgery. Came back quickly this year. Generally, it takes a little bit longer than it took for him, but he was in the rotation right off the bat in April. Struggled early in the year. He's been throwing the ball a little bit better recently than he was earlier in the season.
1-1 pitch, sliced down the left field line. In pursuit, Willingham toward the line and just in fair territory makes the catch. And Martin is out number 1. Josh Willingham covering some ground out there in left field, takes care of the first out. And Elvis Andrus coming out. Elvis handling the DH chores tonight, steps in hitting at .262. A home run, 49 RBI. Elvis had his hitting streak stopped last night. It was an 8-gamer. Or excuse me, 6-gamer. Pelfrey had the 8-gamer stop. Takes a strike from Pelfrey. Right-hander back to the plate and deals to the inside corner. It's 0-2. Last 6 ball games, you see Elvis 393 with 4 runs driven in. Belfry to the wind, the 0-2 pitch. Line to right field, that's a base hit. Well, Elvis wouldn't let him get that 0-2 fastball by him, and Belfry gives up the 1-out single. No, 1 on, 1 out. We'll take a look at the Minnesota defense. You saw Willingham in left. Lee Thomas is in center. Aaron Mastriani is in right field. Chris Colabello is the first baseman tonight. Dozier and Florimon up the middle. Trevor Plouffe is at third. And Chris Herman behind the plate, handling the 29-year-old right-hander Mike Belfry. Belfry, a big guy at 6'7", listed at 250 pounds. Out of Wichita State, originally a first-round draft pick by the New York Mets. Kinsler takes low and outside. Ian, a 279 hitter with 11 home runs and 58 driven in. And on-base percentage coming up fairly significantly since Ian moved to that number 3 hole. 1-0 pitch, way outside. 2-0.
Talked about Belfry being a ground ball pitcher over a period of 4 or 5 years in the National League from 2008 while he was with the New York Mets. 62% of the balls put in play were ground balls. That was the 3rd highest ratio.
Ian going down the right side. That's a fair ball. Mastriani cuts it off. Around to third goes Elvis. So back-to-back base hits the other way. And the Rangers have runners at the corners with 1 out for Adrian Beltre.
That's a pretty good plan. Go the other way. Don't try to pull it. 2 good solid line drives. The sinker stayed up in the strike zone. Good pitch to drive the other way. Good job by Ian. And the right guy to have up there with a man on third base and less than 2 outs. Elvis hurt himself?
I guess it looks like it. Ron Washington out there with his arm around Elvis and having him walk off, but they're walking toward the dugout. And the way Elvis is walking, and well, I'm not even going to speculate. Jamie Reed going to meet him right around home plate. Say, what happened? I didn't see anything.
It doesn't look like a pulled muscle.
No.
It looks like he's walking naturally.
We'll see him round second. And coming into third base, slowed up. I don't know if he jammed it on the bag. Looked like he took kind of a long stride into second.
A little awkward going around second base.
Well, Adam Rosales will come on as the pinch runner and stay in the game as the designated hitter. Well, that didn't look like he was off stride at that from that angle. I don't know.
It doesn't look like a leg injury. Back spasm.
Well, it didn't take Wash any time to get out there, so he must have seen something.
Or Elvis to walk around and see if he was okay. He was gone.
Now we will await word from down below and give it to you as soon as we possibly can. But Rosales now, the runner at third base. Kinsler at first. 1 ball, no strikes to count to Adrian Beltre. Beltre deals up and in, and it's 2 balls and no strikes. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, tough to tell. We'll wait.
Beltre, a .326 hitter. Team leader with 81 RBI, looking for more. Skies to right field. That may be deep enough. Mastriani makes the catch. Tagging at third, Rosales. The throw comes into the cutoff man. Rosales comes down the line to score. And Adrian Beltre ties the game up with a sacrifice fly. It is 1-1.
Yep, don't want to waste those opportunities, and Adrian didn't. And fortunately, that's not Leonis Martin throwing out in right field, so Adam Rosales had a good chance to score. There's Nefi Felice walking down the dugout. Good to see him back in a Ranger uniform. Probably no one happier to be in a Ranger uniform than him.
Yeah.
A long rehab.
Yep. So 2 outs now with Kinsler still at first base. A.J. Pierzynski steps to the plate. Pierzynski batting .279. Had a base hit and an RBI in last night's game. Now up to 57 runs driven in. Snap throw to first. Boy, Ian spinning his wheels a bit getting back to the bag. Fortunately, the throw was a short hop one. And Colabello not able to put the tag on. So the Rangers tie it on a couple of base hits and a sacrifice fly here in the first. 1 ball, no strikes to Pierzynski. AJ brings a 6-game hitting streak into tonight as you look at his numbers for the entire year. 107 ball games now AJ has been in. Line drive right field. That's going to settle in for a hit. Kinsler around second, headed for third, and he will make it without a throw. Well, the Rangers doing a pretty good job against Belfry, getting the ball up enough to drive it to right. 3 consecutive singles into right field.
Well, another well-hit ball by AJ. All 3 of these balls have been nice, solid line drives to right field. Pitch that stayed up a little bit. Not seeing anything resembling a ground ball induced by a good sinker. Every ball that's been hit has been hit in the air.
So 2 outs now. Runners again at first and third, and Alex Rios steps to the plate. Rios a .275 hitter. Ball 1 outside. Alex last night 1 for 3, also had a walk. 3 for 6 in his career against Mike Pelfrey. He has the most at bats of any Ranger hitter in the lineup tonight. Schopper slowly hit to third. Plouffe charges and throws him out. So that'll do it for the Rangers. They do get the tying run across, however. 3 hits and 2 are left. We're moving to the second inning. Rangers 1, Twins 1 on Fox Sports Southwest. let's take a moment here to welcome in Jim Knox.
I appreciate it, Buzz. Check this out. Girls' night out here at the ballpark, huh? Yeah. Girls having a good time, looking for a Ranger win tonight. Community Corner this evening. It's not too late to sign up for the Rangers Labor Day race, which will take place, of course, on Monday right here around the ballpark in Arlington. The finish line actually down on the field. To find out more and to sign up for the race, log on to TexasRangers.com/race. Hi, Mom. What? All right, there you go. All right. Buzz.
All right, Knoxley. Now, a 1-1 ball game. Twins come to bat against Matt Garza. Gave up the leadoff home run to Brian Dozier. Trevor Plouffe will start things off. Plouffe will be followed by Colabello and Thomas. Trevor Plouffe, a .232 hitter. He has a dozen home runs. He has driven in 42. And Garza misses high and tight for ball one. Next pitch from Matt. Popped up behind home plate. That will settle back into the crowd. And the count evens at 1-1. Trevor Plouffe with a current 4-game hitting streak going as he comes into play tonight. He has been one of the hotter Twins hitters, if you will. They've been struggling a bit offensively. 2-1 now. Plouffe 1 for 3 in last night's ball game against the Rangers. And he pops another one up. And that will reach the seats also, right over the home plate side of the Ranger dugout. 2-2 the count.
Trevor Plouffe got hot last year with a home run swing. Hit 24 home runs. Had a bunch of them in a short period of time. Hasn't quite regained it, although he's got double digits in home runs this year.
To right field, that is trouble if it's fair, into the corner, and foul.
Oh boy.
Not by much.
That is headed for the wedgie.
Well, Plouffe's a pretty good sized guy, about 6 feet 3 inches tall, and he's relatively strong. That ball is in a tough spot. It's only 326 feet down that line. And Plouffe trying to tuck it in that corner. Didn't miss by a whole lot. The count remains even at 2-2. Plouffe leading off the Twins second. Garza to the wind and the pitch. Popped up. That will slice back into the crowd down the right side. Had word from downstairs, Ellis Andrews. Tightness in the lower back. And he is listed right now as day-to-day. It must have been something that Ron Washington and company were aware of. Ron got out there pretty quickly, and he must have seen something that Elvis wasn't moving the way he should. Beltre on the run. Classic Adrian Beltre slingshot throw. One gone.
Yeah, Elvis was running a little bit awkwardly, but it didn't look like a leg injury. He didn't pull up like you might see with a calf strain or a hamstring strain. And hopefully a little bit ice on that, he'll be all right. Elvis has never been on the disabled list. I don't remember him ever missing a game because of an injury.
Yeah.
He's had days off, but we'll just keep our fingers crossed that it's not anything long term. In the event that it is, got a pretty good guy, Jurickson Profar, that can fill in and play some shortstop.
And with the rosters expanding tomorrow, a little help if you need it there too.
Yeah.
Swing and a miss by Chris Colabello. It is 0-1. Colabello hitting just 186 with the Twins. 4 home runs, 8 driven in. He had a great year this year at AAA. Chops one to third. Beltre, a tough short hop. Played masterfully. 2 gone.
You know, Adrian went maybe for a week or two through a little stretch where he made some errors. Looked like his timing was off defensively, but man, over the last month or 6 weeks, he is at the top of his game defensively. That ball's hitting in the middle of his glove, and the throws are going chest high to the first baseman every time. That was a tough hop right there. They're playing great baseball all the way around, not just offensive, but he's playing tremendous defensive baseball too.
No, 2 outs. Now Clete Thomas, the center fielder, checks in. Garza's first pitch to him is just off the outside corner. 1 ball, no strikes. Thomas 1 for 3 in last night's ball game. One ball and 1 strike. Garza working quickly, comes back to the plate with a slow hook. It just misses. 2-1 now. Boy, Matt, one of those deals, 32 pitches now, and not a great difference between balls and strikes. 18 strikes to 14 balls. For him, that's unusual. Big rip and a miss, and the count evens at 2-2. Normally, Garza the kind of guy that, especially early in the game, will go out and fill up the strike zone. And he just had the, as Tom mentioned, the command of the fastball hasn't been what it normally is for him. 2-2 pitch. Chopper foul outside third, and we'll come back and try it again on 2-2. Garza, the 29-year-old out of the Central Joaquin Valley in California, Fresno area, went to Fresno State. Very fitting that he was a Bulldog in college. He still is. That breaking ball just missed. Like a pretty good slider. You know, Wally Bell said nope.
That didn't miss. That was, didn't miss. If it missed, it was a borderline pitch that could have gone either way. According to our Fox tracks, it didn't miss.
Payoff pitch, fouled back. So Thomas trying to extend the inning for the Twins. Darren Mastroianni waiting in the on-deck circle, would be next. Garza, another 3-2. Line to left field. That's going to settle in for a base hit in front of David Murphy. Clete Thomas taking the ball the other way on 3-2. Gets just the second hit of the night off of Matt Garza. And now Mastroianni will come up. Mastroianni just a 167 hitter in very limited time with the Twins this year. Called up when Wilkin Ramirez had to go on the disabled list. Broke a bone in his shin when he hit a foul ball off of it. And Mastroianni called up yesterday and played in last night's game. Went 0 for 3. One ball, no strikes as Garza sets a check of first. Line drive, Beltre right there. Snags it just above shoe-top height. That'll do it for the Twins. No runs a hit. They strand 1. After an inning and a half, it's the Rangers 1, the Twins 1 on Fox Sports Southwest. Our question to you, who should be the Rangers player of the month for August? And the list of suspects would be Elvis Andrus, Adrian Beltre, Martin Perez, or AJ Pierzynski. There they are. You just go to Twitter, and if you think it's Elvis, it's hashtag FS Andrews. And the last name's right on down the line after the hashtag FS. Pretty good cast. Rangers with a lot of appropriate pickings there. Boy, Martin Perez had a great month. We talked about Beltre. AJ Pierzynski seemed like every time he left the yard with the ball, it was a game winner. And of course, Elvis had an outstanding month. Mitch Moreland takes low and outside. That runs the count to 2 balls and a strike. Mitch leading off the Rangers second. Bottom third of the Ranger order facing Mike Pelfrey. Rangers got a run on 3 hits in the first, and Adrian Beltre drove home the tying run with a sac fly. 2-2 now to Mitch, who's hitting at .245. One of a trio of Rangers with 20 or more home runs. Career highs at 20 home runs, 55 RBI for the Ranger first baseman. The 2-2 pitch. Out of play to the left. Moreland last night 0 for 2. Also had a walk in that game. Rangers had just 6 hits against the quartet of Twins pitchers. And the count is now 3-2. So Pelfrey running the string out all the way. And Moreland trying to get aboard to start the Rangers second. He'll be followed by Jurickson and Profar. Payoff pitch coming from Pelfrey. Towering drive to left field, but it's going to settle in the ballpark. Willingham puts it away. That is out number 1. Profar coming up. The folks famed car customizer Ryan Friedlinghaus and his crew at West Coast Customs continue to take common vehicles from ordinary to extraordinary in West Coast Customs. Each episode brings viewers inside one of the most dynamic car shops in the entire world. Don't miss a new episode coming this Sunday. Jurickson takes that fastball strike outside corner. Profar with his 5th home run of the year last night in his first at bat. He smoked one off the facing of the upper deck out there in the upper home run porch. Low and outside, 1-1. But Profar at .237 with the average. He's getting a lot of playing time, both moving around the infield spots and his time at DH. 2-1. Trying to make adjustments to major league pitchers, and boy, the scouting reports don't take long to get around the league. There's a base hit to right field. So Jurickson had 1 hit on the home run last night. Starts off with a base hit here with 1 out in the second tonight, and then brings up David Murphy.
Yeah, he had a couple of hard hit balls that weren't base hits in last night's game. One ball was a hard hit ball that Dozier made a nice play to his left that probably saved a run. And leading off late in the game, a line shot that Morneau speared that might have been a double or a triple down the right field line. And right off the bat today, left-handed, a hard hit ball to right field. He's swinging it pretty good right now.
Well, here's Murphy, who was 1 for 2 last night in a ringing double to straightaway center field. He takes a strike. It's 0-1. Murph 1 for 2 at .223 the average. 12 home runs, 41 RBI. Murph brings in a modest 3-game hitting streak. He's on 3 for 9 in those 3 games. And a throw to first, driving Profar back. Pelfrey, for a big guy, has pretty quick feet. Very effective move to first. Very quick getting his feet in position to make a throw. Then a very short, snappy, quick throw. Little slide step move, and he hits the outside corner to Murphy. 0-2. That might have been the Murphy zone.
Yeah, he came close to the outside corner anyway.
Yep, there it is.
Came within 3 or 4 inches of the outside part of the plate.
0-2 pitch from Pelfrey. Got him swinging. Well, Murphy down on strikes. That is out number 2, and it'll bring up Leonis Martin.
Probably the same pitch. Actually, it's a little bit closer. But with 2 strikes, if it's out there, then you're David Murphy. You pretty much have to swing at it because most of them are called strikes.
The Martin steps in 0 for 1 tonight. He flied to center field to start the Ranger offense in the first. And fouls back that first pitch from Pelfrey. It's 0-1. Martin an 0 for 3 last night with a walk. He has been on a bit of a downturn. This is going on 12 games now. He's hit just 163 in the last 11 coming into play tonight. Profar back with a dive. You know, if you take a small sample like that, say 11 games, you say, well, Leonis Martin, not a very good hitter. You know, that's not true. You know, I think every hitter, Tom, isn't it true that up and down, and you try to minimize the highs and the lows throughout the year?
Yeah, it's very few hitters that go through a 162 game season without a bad streak.
Center fielder Thomas over into the alley to make the grab, and that will do it. Rangers get a Profar single but strand him. We're going to the 3rd inning in Arlington. The Rangers won, the Twins won. Watch every out-of-market game live on over 350 supported mobile and connected devices in HD quality with MLB.TV Premium. Visit MLB.TV today. That's MLB.TV, baseball everywhere. Pedro Florimon to start things off, the speedy shortstop. Number 9 hitter, the first to face Matt Garza here in the 3rd inning. Ball 1 is high and away. Florimon last night bunted his way aboard. And that freshened the memory of Adrian Beltre, who's playing down the line about 10 feet or so in front of the bag. Fouled back, 1-1.
Busy inning for Adrian last inning at all 3 of the plays.
A couple of them not easy plays. That ground ball from Colabella and then the line drive by Mastroianni. 1-1 to Florimon. Now 1-2. Florimon, the switch hitter, batting lefty against Garza. And he takes the breaking ball in the dirt. That evens the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Twins as a team offensively challenged, and a lot of the damage has been done in the second half of the season. Hitting just .240, which is next to last in the league. 516 runs scored, which is next to last in the league. And their on-base percentage is 12th in the league. Kinsler throws out Florimon. That is out number 1 here in the 3rd. Now we'll take a look at the Ford leaderboard tonight, showing you the extra base hit leaders since the All-Star break. And the updated look in the major leagues, Brian Dozier and Marlon Byrd, the newest Pirate, 23 apiece. Then Jed Lowry, Will Venable, and Chris Davis round out the top 5.
Several names on that list you wouldn't expect to see. Several names you would expect to see that aren't there, like Miguel Cabrera.
You get a chance to see Marlon Byrd in the black and gold of the Buccos. Pirates coming in after this next Ranger road trip to the West Coast. Brian Dozier pounded his 15th home run of the year, leading things off tonight. And going back to the first inning, here's a refresher.
He's got a short, quick stroke, and a fastball on the inside part of the plate is very susceptible to his power.
And Garza necessarily trying to stay away.
Well, the Pirates will be coming into town. They've hung in there this year. Last year they got off to a big lead, played great, faded down the stretch. This year they're making some moves, making sure that doesn't happen. Getting Marlon Byrd, Morneau, great pitching.
Lazy fly ball to right center. Leonis Martin camps under and puts it away. That's 2 gone. Yeah, they are making sure they're stocking up with the kinds of people that can help them in the month of September and hopefully for them into the playoffs. So Garza's retired the first 2 here in the 3rd, and now Chris Herman, who has drawn the only walk of the game back in the first inning. Garza's first pitch to him. A rip and a miss. Herman, just 25 years of age, as we mentioned, out of Tomball, Texas. And he's down in the count now, 0-2.
Kind of slowly but surely, Matt's starting to zero in with his pitches now. Slider, that last pitch was a good curveball.
Garza to the line. Boy, he didn't miss by much. Yeah, that is zeroing in when your misses are right there.
Yeah, he's kind of doing the same thing Darvish likes to do, throw some off-speed pitches and then show him your best fastball and aim it for the outside corner. That last pitch was 95 miles an hour.
2-2 as the breaking ball dips low to Chris Herman. In case you haven't been following the Twins very closely, Joe Mauer, their all-star catcher and DH first baseman, on the disabled list with concussion-like symptoms, and he's going to be on that list until he's completely ready to play again. 3rd strikeout for Matt Garza. He sends the Twins down in order after 2.5. Rangers 1, Twins 1 on By your Texas Ford dealer. Don't miss the Ford Summer Spectacular featuring blockbuster deals. Now playing at your best in Texas Ford dealer. And by Jack in the Box. Go big with Jack's really big chicken combos. A nice crowd on hand. A very warm late summer night here in North Texas. 1-1 the score as Ranger fans hoping for a victory from their hometown favorites. Adam Rosales will lead things off. Rosales entered the game in the first inning, taking over for Elvis Andrus as a pinch runner. Rosales 191 with 5 home runs, 12 driven in. Pelfrey back to the plate with the 0-1. Back in the first inning, Elvis singled to right field and then was going from first to third on Ian Kinsler's single. And as he rounded second, I think we saw him kind of straighten up there a little bit. And we come to find out that his lower back tightened up on him. And Ron Washington out there very quickly, as was Jamie Reed, the Ranger trainer, and taking no chances with Elvis. And ushered him off the field. Listed at preliminarily as day-to-day, and certainly no indication that it will be anything more than just that. So Rosales in, the count of 1 ball and 2 strikes. Shot foul that came up and hit the bat for the second time. It's still 1-2.
Got a few birthdays to mention. Ida Mae Jansen from Irving is 100 years old today. Alan Cartwright from Amarillo was 91 yesterday. R.N. Sweeney from Cache, Texas was 92 yesterday.
And a chopper hit slowly to third. Bluth next to the bag throws and gets Rosales by a step. That's 1 away.
And the last couple, Eddie Maynard from Temple was 95 yesterday, and Miriam Knox from Wichita Falls, 93 years old yesterday. So happy birthday, Ida Mae Jansen, Alan Cartwright, R.N. Sweeney, Eddie Maynard, and Miriam Knox.
No bases empty, 1 away. And Ian Kinsler, who singled to right field in the first, steps in. Ian now up over the 280 mark, 281. Ian has extended his hitting streak now to 6 consecutive games. Strike 1. Those 6 games, Kinsler has gone 10 for 22. Oh, 1 pitch from Pelfrey. And the Twins right-hander back to the plate. This is inside, 2-1 to Ian Kinsler. Rangers this year against the Twins 2-3. Last night, the first game they had played against Ron Gardenhire's club in this ballpark this year. Chopper off the fist down to third. Bluth across the diamond, 2 away. And Adrian Beltre will be next. With the new scheduling the way it is, more interleague play and fewer visits from outside your division into the ballpark. Rangers made 1 trip to Minnesota, and the Twins 1 trip here, and that's pretty much the standard. With your division, it's still 19 or 20 games. Beltre, sacrifice fly in the first inning, driving in his 82nd run of the year.
That's one thing good about being in our division. Every team that you visit 3 times is a team that you like to go there. Most people like going to Seattle. Most people like going to San Francisco. Most people like going to Southern California and Anaheim. A great hotel and nice ballpark in Houston, right next door. So if you have to go 4 different places 3 times, those are 4 pretty good places to go to.
Sure are. Beltre down on the count now, no balls and 2 strikes. Belfry, a long look in. Now the right-hander's ready to work. Got him swinging. Oh, a pretty good tailing fastball down and in to Beltray. 3 up, 3 down. First time that Belfry has sent the Rangers down in order. After 3, Rangers 1, Twins 1.
Arlington. Welcome back to Fox Sports Southwest. I'm Allie Lucia. The Twins snuck one by the Rangers last night, beating them 3-2 thanks to a home run by Justin Morneau, who was traded to the Pirates today. And I talked to Twins manager Ron Gardenhire about that win and how they're fired up to play the Rangers.
In these pennant races, you know, like we went to Detroit, same thing. There's that extra added fire. I mean, their fans are really into it, and we want to go out and give them everything we have. And, you know, this is a great atmosphere of baseball here. Last night was unbelievable. Darvish was striking everybody out. The fans were into it, and we ambushed them. And not a better feeling than what we had walking in this clubhouse last night.
Some former Twins in this Rangers lineup tonight, including the pitcher on the mound right now, Matt Garza, AJ Pierzynski, Joe Nathan, and I know they would like nothing more than to get win number 20 tonight.
All right, Allie, thank you.
That's definitely true, Allie. No one likes getting ambushed.
Yep.
That's just about what it was last night.
Exactly.
Out of nowhere.
Now, Josh Willingham starting things off against Matt Garza here in the 4th inning. Willingham called out on strikes first time up. Takes high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike. Rangers are run on 4 hits, no errors. The Twins are run on 2 hits and no errors. Both starting pitchers now have kind of settled back into a pretty good groove. Garza and Pelfrey, a couple of right-handers that know their craft. 1-2 the count to Willingham. Garza okays the sign. And the right-hander's next pitch. High in the air down the right side. That will twist back into the crowd. And we'll come back and try it again. The Twins 58-75 in that Central Division. They're in 4th place. They trail the Detroit Tigers by 20 games. Off the end of the bat, Ian Kinsler gobbles it up and fires on the first. 1 out. Folks, we'd like to invite you to tune in each Saturday morning at 10 o'clock right here on Fox Sports Southwest for Chevy Hometown Kids. It's not about the score, it's about the experience. No, 5 straight now retired by Matt Garza. Ryan Domit, who struck out swinging back in the first inning, will step in. Domit, the veteran catcher slash outfielder, DHing now for the Twins. Pulls that first pitch foul, and it kangaroos into the crowd down there just past the Ranger dugout on the first base side. Domit, a pretty good offensive force when he was in the National League with the Pirates. The Twins got him to come over here and fill some offensive vacancies they had. Pitch up and into him. 1-1 the count. Domit, last year with the Twins, he ended up hitting .275 in 134 games. He had 18 home runs, 75 RBI, and much of the year he was hitting the number 4 or 5 slots in the Twins order. Garza's 1-2 pitch, and the count evens. This is last night. Notice the facial hair for Ryan Domit.
I think we questioned how much he liked having a beard when it's 100 degrees out.
Yeah.
There's our answer right there. Not very much.
And he's gone on strikes. He may grow it back after striking out a couple times.
Go back to Minnesota and grow it back where it's a little cooler. Good assortment of pitches right there from Matt. He missed a 94-mile-an-hour fastball, and that's a good overhand curveball that he swung over the top of. 4 strikeouts now for Matt. He's gotten Domit a couple of times. Gave up the leadoff home run and only a single since then.
2 up, 2 away. Trevor Plouffe grounded out to third his first time. And he's going to chop one to short. Profar on to first, and a very quick and easy 1-2-3 inning. 7 straight now set down by Matt Garza and company. Rangers come to bat in the bottom of the 4th in a 1-1 game with the Twins.
For the game, the Fox Sports Fan Express rolling in from the great city of Texarkana. How about that? Packed house on hand. Fox Sports Radio, courtesy of those guys. And the new sports guy on the bus, Zach. You got another name? Just Zach on the radio?
No, we keep it simple. Just Zach Clark. Very simple. Rolls off the tongue.
Usually the Italian Stallion comes from you guys, but he's no longer around, or just watching at home, right?
No, he's just watching home. The Italian Stallion, the Ayatollah of Radiola, we're taking its place tonight.
There we go. That's a great impersonation of the Italian Stallion. We miss him. We hope he comes back next time. But you had a great time on the bus, right?
We had a great time on the bus. Shout out to Eddie. A great trip all the way here. Go Rangers.
Look at this guy over here. Look at him, like the bodyguard. You got to come back for Dollar Hot Dog Night coming up, okay? All right, Wednesday nights. All right, we'll see you then. There we go. One more time for the Italian Stallion.
The Ayatollah of Radiola. Bob Del Giorno, thank you so much for having us out tonight. We appreciate it.
All right, good to have you out here, guys. Way to go.
Well, you got them fired up, Knox. That's good.
Ayatollah of Radiola.
Yeah. A.J. Przinsky leading off the Ranger fourth inning. Przinsky, Rios, and Moreland, the first three to do the swinging here in a 1-1 ball game. Mike Pelfrey has retired the last 5 Rangers that he has faced. And the right-hander with a 1-1 pitch. That is chopped foul. A ball and 2 strikes. A.J. singled to right field his first time at the plate. So that average for Przinsky now at 281. Herman's flashing the sign out. The 1-2 pitch.
That's usually not a ball that AJ takes. 1 and 2. Must have stayed a little bit inside, though.
May not have seen it real well.
He must not have.
If he sees it, he's hacking at it. And the 2-2 pitch. Got him swinging.
Oh, good fastball. 95 miles an hour. Great velocity. Good movement. Pelfrey's getting a little stronger as the game goes on, it looks like. It's an excellent fastball with that tailing action. See where number 5 ends. It's probably 5 or 6 inches outside. But that's not where it started out. Looked like it started out right on the outside part of the plate for a strike. Good pitch.
Now Pelfrey with 3 strikeouts now. And you're right, Tom. He is getting stronger. He's also getting a little more zeroed in on what's happening with the strike zone. Here's Alex Rios, who grounded out to third. First ball swinging, drives one to right field. That is hanging up, though, for Mastroianni, who makes the grab. And there are 2 outs in the Ranger fourth with the bases empty for Mitch Moreland. Pelfrey signed as a free agent by the Twins late in the offseason. He had Tommy John surgery a year ago, May. And coming out of spring training, the Twins had him in their starting rotation, even though he had been less than a year in the rehab process. And typically that year mark is about when guys can expect to have their full strength back. But Pelfrey able to keep his head above water and kind of pitch his way into shape as the year's gone on.
From your experience, Buzz, is that a rather quick timetable to come back and pitch? Like at the big league level, not just pitch in the minor leagues, but to pitch in the big league level?
Yeah, I would say so. Normally there's a month or 2 in there that you'd kind of like to have a guy ease his way back into competition and build up some arm strength so that you're not going out there fighting the lack of arm strength and the rust you've built up. But Pelfrey's been around enough. He understood what it was all about, and he did struggle a bit early in the year, but he has gotten better as the season has gone on. 2-0 the count to Mitch Moreland. And Mitch drives it high in the air to left field. That sends Willingham back. But he has room right in front of the warning track and makes the grab. Rangers gone in order. That is now 8 straight set down by Mike Pelfrey. After 4, still 1-1. bringing it back. On September 24th, the Rangers play the Astros, and the first 20,000 fans will get a Yu Darvish K-Counter bobblehead courtesy of AT This is the last chance to get a giveaway from the 2013 regular season. So get your tickets at TexasRangers.com.
That's one of the better bobbleheads, too. That looks just like them.
Very popular item.
Yep, I can see why.
Now the fifth inning will begin with Chris Colabello facing Matt Garza. Colabello out on a nice play by Adrian Beltre at third. That was back in the second inning. Garza has retired 7 straight. Right-hander deals strike one. Belt high fastball.
Yeah, Colabello is a pretty interesting story. You mentioned, Buzz, they had a big year at AAA. Played for Italy in the World Baseball Classic this year. He was signed by the Twins last year, played a little AA ball, but prior to that, he played 7 years in an independent league team in Worcester, Massachusetts. Played for the same team for 7 years in the Canadian American League. There couldn't have been any time during those 7 years where he thought he was going to be playing in the big leagues. That's one thing great about baseball. Here he is at age 29 getting a chance to play in the big leagues.
And he got a chance to turn around at home plate and head back to the dugout as Matt Garza blew him away on 3 pitches. Now, that is 5th strikeout for Matt Garza tonight.
Nope, no doubt about whether that was a strike or not.
Well, one away. Here is the last Twins player to reach base, and that was Clete Thomas. He had a single in the second inning. And he takes strike one here as Matt Garza now starting to fill up the strike zone.
Well, you mentioned earlier, Buzz, when they were about even strikes and balls, and now he's got a pretty nice differential going.
Yeah.
Making up some ground.
A bunt, and it's a good one. He's going to let that roll, and it's going to be a bunt base hit for Clete Thomas. You know, he runs well, and once that ball got into fair territory, it wasn't going anywhere, and not much anybody could do about it. Well, the second hit of the night for Clete Thomas. He is aboard with 1 out for Mastriani.
Yeah, when you drop it right down there, there's basically nothing you can do. Garza falls off, watch his leg come over. He falls off to the first base side, so there's no way he can come back and field it. AJ can't get to it. And as great a fielder as Adrian is, he's not in the vicinity to make the play on that either.
A 1 on, 1 out, and Mastriani going to bunt out in front of home plate. He was bunting for a base hit, and AJ Pierzynski on that quickly enough to be able to throw him out. It does get Thomas into scoring position, but there are now 2 outs, and Pedro Florimon will come up.
That's one where the guy generally gets a sacrifice, but it is not a sacrifice bunt. Might get ruled a sacrifice bunt, but that's not his goal. His goal is to get on first base.
Yeah, they're going to give him a sacrifice on that, and I agree with you. It's technically, yeah, I guess.
I think the rule book says something like you give the hitter the benefit of the doubt, but there's no doubt in the American League, with a pitcher not hitting, with 1 out, there's no doubt that the guy is bunting for a base hit, not sacrificing.
Right. Yeah, with just the runner at first base.
Yeah, just no way.
But Thomas, as a result, down there at second now. 1 ball, no strikes, the count to Florimon, who grounded out to second his first trip to the plate. Florimon has driven in 37 this year. He has 8 home runs, so pretty good pop from the switch hitting shortstop. 2 balls, no strikes. And all of his home runs this year, and as a matter of fact, all 9 of his career home runs have been as a left-handed hitter. Garza checks second. The 2-0 pitch. Check swing and a pitch on the outside corner as Garza went with the off-speed pitch. 2-1. fastball thrown right on by him. 2-2.
That's a good fastball tonight. 94 miles an hour, 100 degrees out. Starting to get in the second half of the game, and he's still looking strong.
He's getting loose now.
Just getting loose. That's what Nolan said.
That's right.
After 120 pitches, I was just getting ready for the 7th inning. Warmed up for the 7th.
The 2-2 pitch from Garza. And we'll come back and try it again. AJ was watching Clay Thomas take his secondary lead the pitch before last. And Thomas really getting off the bag a long way. And AJ was thinking about coming up and firing down to second. Thomas getting his primary lead, and the secondary lead was another 15 feet off the bag. Another 2-2 is in the offing. Nice block by Brzezinski, and the count is gone full. No, you do have first base open, and yeah, he is the number 9 hitter, but he's also a little bit dangerous. Brian Dozier, the on-deck circle, will be next. Good job by AJ getting his body down in front of that pitch. Garza okays the sign. He will check Thomas a couple of times at second. Got him swinging. Breaking ball on 3-2. And Garza has his 6th strikeout. No runs a hit, 1 left. We've finished half the ball game. Rangers 1, Twins 1. Fox Sports Southwest. Chance to win Texas-sized jackpots. It's Texas' original jackpot game, and it's available at your favorite lottery retailer. Now Rangers come to bat here in the bottom of the 5th inning, a 1-1 game. Jurickson Profar, who is 1 for 1, will lead things off. Profar, Murphy, and Martin to face Mike Pelfrey. Rangers with 4 hits against Pelfrey, but nothing since Profar's single in the 2nd. Jurickson now with the average back up to 240 with that base hit. Now Profar asking for time as he walks out. Pelfrey won as many as 15 ball games with the Mets. He was 15-9 back in 2010. On the inside corner, and the count moves to 0-2. Pelfrey had a total of 50 wins, 54 losses with the Mets. Span of 6 years plus. Right-hander into the motion. The 0-2 pitch to Profar.
That's the one to lay off of right there. That's the one that's tough to hit. That's the one AJ offered at and missed. Fastball tailing away like that. It's out of the strike zone by the time you swing at it.
Now the 1-2. Got him swinging.
Something off that one. Some kind of a changeup.
Strikeout number 4 for Pelfrey.
Good pitch.
No, one away. David Murphy comes up. Murphy was the first strikeout victim for Pelfrey tonight. That was back in the second inning. And a fastball in there for strike 1. Well, the Rangers held to a couple of runs last night. They've been held to 1 run by Pelfrey tonight. Just having a tough time in their home ballpark scoring runs. It has been that way for the last 6-8 weeks, if you will. One pitch to Murph. Chopped out towards second. Dozier. Out number 2. Well, Pelfrey really mowing down the Rangers right now. He has retired the 11 straight hitters. Leonis Martin, a pair of fly balls tonight. He flied to left, flied to center. Off-speed pitch hangs outside. 1 ball and no strikes.
Hadn't thrown many of those curveballs today. Saw Leonis Martin out early taking some extra batting practice today along with Nelly Cruz. Nelly Cruz is in town working out. Going to go to Arizona, so he's ready if the Rangers get to the postseason.
He could rip at that fastball. Yeah, Nelly's going to play in. He has to do it at his own expense and go down to surprise Arizona. Some shots at Nelly earlier today. Going to play in the instructional league. It starts there in the I think it's the 10th of September, so isn't it, Tom?
Yeah,
I believe. High and outside. 2-1 to Leonis Martin.
That would be a pretty nice, if the Rangers get to the postseason, that would be a pretty nice reinforcement to get back in the lineup.
Pelfrey's next pitch. And that is a called strike. 2-2.
Yeah, a lot of pitches being called out there that aren't necessarily that close to the strike zone.
Ball hit well to left center field. Chasing it is Thomas into the alley. Reaches up and makes the catch as he steps onto the warning track. Another 1-2-3 inning that has been the habit here of late for Mike Pelfrey. 1-1 the score as we head to the 6th. Jay Onright and Dan O'Toole anchor Fox Sports Live. And joined by Donovan McNabb, Gary Payton, Andy Roddick, and Carissa Thompson. They'll bring you everything you need to know about the world of sports. Fox Sports Live airs nightly on Fox Sports 1. Got a note on Ranger minor leagues. Joey Gallo going crazy down at Hickory.
Today?
Blow away again.
What's he got? Another
2 home runs today.
2 more, hit 3 the other day.
Yeah, 3 last night. He's got 5 home runs in his last 8 plate appearances.
Have they broke the record?
Not yet. He's 1 shy. Tom Robson back in 1974 had 41. That's the Ranger
How about the
minor league
team record for that league?
That I don't know. We'll have to find out.
They were within a few of that. Every guy in that team has double-digit home runs.
That's fouled away to the right, and the count moves to 0-2. Top of the Twins order. Ryan Dozier took Matt Garza deep, leading off the ball game. The 0-2 pitch to him. That's just off the outside corner. It's a ball and 2 strikes. Dozier last time up, skied to center.
That's a lot closer to that corner than some of those pitches on the other side have been to the corner. That ball actually touched the corner.
Chopper to third, and Adrian stays with it nicely. Out number 1. Time for a Mazda game break. Let's head back to the studio for Rick Renner. Rick? All right, Rick, thank you. Now 1 out, bases empty. Chris Herman up for his 3rd at bat. He is 0 for 1 officially. Walked and struck out. Takes high for ball 1. A lot of ground balls tonight for Matt Garza. 8 of the 16 outs have been via the ground out, and he also has 6 strikeouts. 1-1 the count to Chris Herman. Probably as good a command as we've seen Matt Garza have for a while, huh, Tom?
Yeah, after about the first 10 pitches, when he'd walked Herman after the home run, then it was 3-2 on Willingham, and probably the biggest pitch for him was the strikeout, throw-out, double play. And after that, boy, he's been pretty much throwing the ball exactly where he wants to. He's looking good right now.
One ball and 2 strikes the count to Chris Herman. Garza to the wind. Got him swinging. Good fastball. That is strikeout number 7, 2 away. And Josh Willingham coming up. Well, it's been a night of the strikeout. Our Coors Light freeze cam will show you for Matt Garza. Good breaking ball in the dirt. A couple of them. Then a slow hook. Another breaking ball. And a fastball crossing people up. Well, Matt Garza has had it all working tonight. He has been able to drop that breaking ball in, and all of a sudden here in the 5th and 6th inning, he's gone back to the fastball, pitching backwards from the way he established earlier in the game, and it's caught a lot of Twins by surprise. 1 ball, no strikes the count. Josh Willingham 0 for 2. Now 2-0. Garza okays the sign. Good fastball there. Had to move it away from him. A little cutting action. And it's 2-1. Willingham, the one guy in the lineup that you really would want to be careful with in a 1-run game. A 1-1 game, I should say. He's the guy that can hit the ball out of any part of the ballpark. Well, and he just missed that. He popped it straight up. Shallow left field. Jurickson Profar making the call and the catch. And that will do it. Really 3 up, 3 down inning. We played 5.5 in Arlington. The Rangers won and the Twins won on Fox Sports Southwest. Jackpot is worth $600 and dinner for 2 at a Sonic restaurant. Tonight, the Rangers are hitting for Ruby Singh from Waxahachie. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam during the inning, Ruby Singh from Waxahachie will win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Adam Rosales starting things off here in the Rangers 6th, and first ball swinging. He fouls it back and out of play. It is 0-1. Rosales, you remembered, homered in his second at bat in a Ranger uniform. That was up in Chicago. Got the start against Chris Sale, and his first time up in that game pounded one out of the yard. So in the Sonic slam inning, Rosales has a little bit of history of going out. Belfry with the 0-1 pitch. Now 1-1. Rosales took over for the injured Elvis Andrus. He pinch ran for him in the first. Elvis's back tightened up on him. Adam a ground ball to third in his only trip to the plate.
Good swing, good pitch to hit.
1-2 now after the foul ball.
Exactly what he's thinking to himself, too.
The Doc on it. Had one to work with.
Yep. Well, you never know. Maybe we'll give you another one.
Pitchers have been known to do that.
Yeah, they don't try to, but. Oh, I'm sorry. You missed that one. Here, let me try to throw you another one.
Move that tee up a little bit higher if you would. Boy, Belfry really able to run that sinking and tailing fastball in on right-handers effectively. That's something he wasn't able to do in the first inning.
No.
Gave up 3 hits in that inning, and a lot of them were out over the plate.
Boy, he's definitely gotten better after that inning. Rangers haven't had a hit since 1 out in the second inning.
1-2 the count. Rosales waiting. Now to play to the right. Belfry, a good lively fastball now. It's darting all over the place.
And Pelfrey's last start, he threw 94 pitches in 5 innings. He walked 6 batters in that game at Cleveland. He hasn't walked anybody today. He's only thrown 70 pitches here in the 6th inning. Entirely different game for him.
Another 1-2. And another foul ball. Rosales giving him a pretty good working over here. as he leads off the 6th inning. A 1-1 game. Rangers with 4 hits. The Twins with 3. And the 7th pitch of the at-bat will be coming to Adam Rosales. See the spray pattern of where the pitchers have been. Belfry to the line. Got him swinging. Cutter, hard slider, and that is strikeout number 5 for Mike Belfry.
And not only is his fastball does it have better movement and better command, that pitch has been a good pitch for him, whether you want to call it a cutter or a slider. Starting to throw that a little more often. He's mixed in a curveball or 2. Struck somebody out on a changeup. I think it was Profar to lead off the 5th inning. So he's dealing right now, just like Matt Garza. Both pitchers are throwing great. Don't generally see back-to-back pitchers duels here at the ballpark.
Belfry now has set down 12 straight, and Ian Kinsler 1 for 2. He is at the plate now. 1 ball, no strikes. Ian, a 1st inning single. Last time up, grounded sharply to 3rd. Belfry back to the plate. Oh, he got Kinsler right on the fist. 1-1.
Yeah, his toughest thing for a hitter to counteract is the good movement on a 2-seam fastball. If you can run it in on the right-hand hitter, it's just really tough to get the good part of the bat on the ball.
And the way he's going right now, the way Belfry's going right now, he has the ability to run it both ways. Run it into the right-hander and also cut it away from him. And that's a pretty tough combination.
Yeah, that's very tough. If you're throwing it where you want to, you can't hit it tough.
That one's low and outside. 2-1 now to Kinsler. Ian at an even 280 with the batting average. Last 15 games, Kinsler has hit in the neighborhood of 370. Another fastball in on his fists, and it's 2-2. But Belfry is just on the right-handed hitters especially. They just stayed steadily inside in the last few innings, and he's had great success doing it. Kinsler waiting. The count is even at 2-2. Got him swinging.
Boy, that's the one that struck Beltray out. That's about as good a sinker as you can see right there.
6 strikeouts now for Beltray, 2 in a row.
Look at that thing move. That's like the one Yoelvis Medina threw to Ian in the last homestand with a man on 3rd base. He ran that thing. That's the most movement he's had on a pitch all day right there. That went down and in. Man.
So 2 gone on a pair of punch-outs. Adrian Beltre struck out his last time up. 0 for 1.
You watch Pelfrey pitch today, and you see a guy with an ERA of 5.06 and opponent's batting average right around 300. And you look at the stuff that he's thrown tonight, and you say, man, at least after the 1st inning, how does he have that record?
Yeah.
Must not be making these pitches every time he pitches.
Must have been pitching in a tougher league.
Either that or he's pitching like he did in the 1st inning. Ball was, it's much straighter out over the plate. Rangers had a lot of good swings in the 1st inning. Not many since then, though.
No.
Profar's the only one. Profar ripped the ball with 1 out in the 2nd inning to right field for a base hit. Since then, not much in the way of a hard hit ball.
The pitch is high. It's now 2-1 to Beltre. Adrian currently hitting at 326. The RBI on the sacrifice fly is 82nd of the year. That is the high water mark for the club. Also has 28 home runs. Tops for the Rangers. Up the middle, boy, that's blistered to center field.
There's a hard hit ball.
Well, Beltre snaps a string of 13 straight sent down by Mike Beltre.
It's been over a month since Adrian went back-to-back days without getting a hit. He got shut out last night, but not today. There's a rope up the middle. That's a pitch the Rangers haven't seen much in the last 4 innings.
Yeah.
Something fairly straight and out over the plate.
Well, Beltre having a chat with Chris Colabello down there at first base. 2 outs. AJ Pierzynski, who singled his first trip to the plate, 1 for 2. And he steps in there against Pelfrey. First ball swinging, shallow center field, long run in for Thomas. That's going to fall for a base hit. Trying to throw behind Beltre, but Adrian back to the bag, and back-to-back 2-out singles. Have runners at first and second for Alex Rios.
They ran this ball in on the fist, it looked like. And the little blooper, shortstop can't get it, center fielder can't get it. Now the Rangers need a base hit right here. Alex hit with men on first and third and 2 outs in the first. Got another shot here in the 6th in a tie game.
Now Beltre, a very solid single, and AJ a looping single. They are both aboard. Alex Rios trying to increase his RBI total and get the Rangers on top here tonight. 0 for 2, and the pitch is inside, ball 1. Alex Rios hitting .264 in a Ranger uniform. This is his 19th game. Way outside. Nice backhanded pickup by Chris Herman.
Made that look easy.
Yeah. Well, Herman will flash the signs out. 2 balls, no strikes to Alex Rios. Now Beltre at second, Pierzynski at first. A 1-1 ball game here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Chopper slowly hit to third. Kloof charging, throws, gets him by a step. Another jam shot, and Pelfrey able to work around the back-to-back 2-out singles. 2 left. On to the 7th we go. Rangers 1, Twins 1. Fox Sports Southwest. Would not expect another pitcher's duel here at Rangers Ballpark, but yes, it has been. Matt Garza has been extremely good, as has Mike Pelfrey. Garza with 3 hits allowed in 6 innings of work, 1 run, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. Pelfrey, after giving up 2 hits in the 6th inning, 6 hits, a run, no walks, and 6 strikeouts. So both starters are on their game here tonight. 1-1 the score is Ryan Domet will lead off the 7th inning for the Twins. Be the middle third of the Minnesota order to face Matt Garza. Domit 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts tonight. Still a temperature in the mid-90s as we play at just a few minutes before 9 o'clock here on this Saturday night. Garza goes to work in the 7th inning and fires a slider in for strike 1.
Yeah, he's pounding it with all his pitches now. Slider, curveball, changeup, fastball. He's throwing them all for strikes.
Fastball, and that's foul back. 0-2. The 0-2 pitch. Now 1-2. Matt Garza 3-2 as a member of the Rangers. The Rangers have won 5 of his 7 starts in a Texas uniform. Matt's next pitch. And that will even the count at 2-2. Taking a little bit of extra time here in the 7th inning. Check swing, and
he wanted to.
Yeah, he did. 3-2 now the count. Ryan Domit leading off, and Garza almost got him to go.
I think that's the pitch he struck him out last time with, a low curveball. That one could have been a strike, close enough to be a borderline strike. Domit struck out twice, missed that pitch before, but laid off at that time.
Payoff pitch in the dirt, ball 4. And Domit draws the leadoff walk here in the 7th inning. I hope that's not deja vu from last night. Trevor Plouffe now will be the hitter. Garza, the second walk Ranger right-hander has issued, his first since the 1st inning. Plouffe has grounded out twice tonight, once to third, once to short. Rangers would take a third time at either Beltre or Profar right about here. And a strike on the inside corner makes it 0-1. Luke with that 4-game hitting streak coming into play. The batting average languishing just above the 230 level. Foul back. 0-2.
A good rip at it. I'd have to see something other than a fastball now, though. Plouffe has grounded out twice, once to third, once to short. Looking for another one right here.
Garza a check of first. The 0-2 pitch. Call strike 3. Oh, he throws him like a DQ blizzard.
Yeah, he pops it at 94. He's almost at 100 pitches on a 100-degree night. And he's still firing it 94 miles an hour, and that's not even close to being a ball. That's all the way in the strike zone. I think Plouffe might have been looking for something. Well, not looking, but thinking something other than a fastball right there. I don't think he could look for anything other than a fastball, but he wasn't ready for it.
One very big out.
Now.
Yep. Chris Colabello, who was called out on strikes his last time up there, 0 for 2 tonight. And he takes the breaking ball for strike 1. Well, your Coors Light cold hard fact: 8 strikeouts for Garza tonight in 3 straight starts now. That's just the second time in his career that he's done that. You have to go back to 2009 September when he was with the Rays at that point. Pitch outside. 1-1. The count to Colabello. Colabello, other than the strikeout. Also grounded out on a nice play by Adrian Beltre. That was back in the second inning. Garza checks first. Now Colabello asks for time. %60 fastballs, 40% off-speed pitches for Matt Garza tonight. It's a reasonable breakdown for him. Out of play to the right. It's 1-2. Colabello, the International League MVP this year. He had a great year down at with the Red Wings. Rochester. He had .352 with 25 doubles, 24 home runs in 89 games.
That's it's only 89 games. That's some pretty good production.
High and tight. 2-2 now. Colabello's been around for a while too. You mentioned it, Tom. A lot of independent league action for 7 years. At 29, you would have to think that he wasn't real confident that he would ever see the big leagues, but here he is. It's out of play to the right side once again. It's still 2-2.
There's a guy who's probably playing in his hometown. He went to Milford High School in Worcester. Playing in his hometown, independent league baseball, getting paid for it, thinking, hey, it doesn't get much better than this. Playing in my hometown, a little independent league baseball. But you're right. I doubt very much he was thinking, I'm going to keep playing here because I want to get to the big leagues. He was just enjoying playing in his hometown.
And that's deep down the right side. Well, back out of play. Still 2 balls, 2 strikes. Saw Jason Frazier getting loose in the Ranger bullpen out there. Mentioned, here's Frazier, mentioned Matt Garza taking a little more time between pitches, and that usually is a tip-off that guys running a little bit short of gas as the game goes on. Check swing. Did he go around? No, he did not. He appealed very quickly down to Marvin Hudson at first, who threw down the palms down safe side.
Came very close, but can't argue with the call.
Well, the count is full with 1 out now. We'll see if Ryan Domit is asked to take off with the pitch. Not called momentarily. Leonis Martin had to go retrieve a ball that had gotten loose from the Ranger bullpen out there. Colabello getting back in the box. 3-2 with 1 out and 1 on. Garza ready. There goes Domit. The pitch is low, ball 4. And that's going to put 2 on with 1 out here in the 7th inning. A.J. Brzezinski coming up after he received that ball, ready to throw to second. And sometimes the catcher, in an effort to get a throw off to second, will block an umpire's view of a low pitch. I don't know that that's what happened, but sometimes that can happen, and umpires just won't call that pitch if they don't see it completely. In any event, 2 walks in the inning. Runners at first and second, 1 out. And Clete Thomas, who is 2 for 2 at the plate. Thomas singled to left field in the 2nd inning. In the 5th, he had a bunt single down the 3rd baseline. Garza a check of second. And the pitch is high and away for ball 1. Thomas with those 2 hits now at .232 with the average. As Domit at second, Colabello at first. Garza's 1-0 pitch. 1-1.
He's at 107 pitches on a 100-degree night, and you know he's pitching on fumes right now, but he's giving it everything he's got on every pitch, trying to get out of this inning, not giving in an inch.
He okays the sign, and Garza back to the plate. 2-1. Thomas, 4 home runs, 13 driven in. He's got a couple of twin teammates out there on the base paths. And ball 3 sails high. So Garza now maybe trying to reach back for something that's not quite there, forcing it a bit. And he has lost command of the strike zone. 2 walks in the inning, and he has now fallen behind Clete Thomas, 3-1. Garza sets. And the pitch foul back and out of play. Well, the count has gone full. And a lot of pitches up. Every single one of them either at the top of the zone or up out of the strike zone to Clete Thomas. Crowd trying to get behind Matt Garza. Payoff pitch is skied to left field. Lazy fly ball. David Murphy coming in after it, makes the catch. And that is a very big out, number 2 for Matt Garza.
You just have to love the way Garza's competing right now. He may be out of gas, but he's not giving in. He's throwing as hard as he can with every pitch. Last pitch was still 94 miles an hour. Trying to do whatever he can to get out of the 7th inning right here. Yeah, everybody knows that he's a competitor, and on a night like this, you can really see it.
Yep, sure can.
You win a lot of points with your teammates with an effort like this, regardless of what happens.
He's going to face Darren Mastroianni now with runners at first and second. 2 outs. Mastroianni, a line drive to third. Last time up was credited with a sacrifice bunt. A 154 hitter, and the first pitch to him is low. Breaking ball missed. It's 1-0. Mastroianni missed 106 games this year with a stress fracture of his ankle. Did his rehab down at Rochester AAA and hit .333 down there in 11 games. 1-0 pitch. Now 2-0.
Could have been. .115th pitch coming up. This, you got to think, is his last hitter, one way or the other.
Garza to the plate. Pop foul down the right side. Out of play. 2-1. Well, the Twins this year, one of the reasons they're down near the bottom in runs scored, 226 as a team with runners in scoring position. Ron Gardner lamenting the fact that his ball club just has a hard time manufacturing runs or even driving ones that are already pre-manufactured in. Fouled away to the right, and Garza now with a 2-ball, 2-strike count. Well, Matt having to work in this inning. He has had 2 walks, a strikeout, and a flyout. Crowd getting behind Garza and the Rangers. The right-hander's ready. The 2-2 pitch. Foul away. We'll try it again.
He's still throwing 94 miles an hour, too. I don't know how he's doing it. 117 pitches. Still 96 degrees out there.
Domet, the lead from second. Chris Colabello at first. Another 2-2 pitch is coming. And we will go full now, and both runners will be off and moving with the next Garza offering. If Mastroianni is able to get aboard, He may not face Garza, but it'll be Pedro Florimon waiting in the on-deck circle there. Switch hitting shortstop. Garza's payoff pitch is on the way. Check swing. He got him.
Wow. I don't blame him, Matt.
Looked like a backup slider, and Garza got the check swing strikeout from Mastroianni. So Garza, a fist pump after that punch out. He strands two in the top of the 7th inning. Yeah, that boy.
He deserves that, boy.
1-1 the score with the Rangers coming up. When you change everything, you change everything. A great crowd on hand here tonight at Rangers Ballpark in Arlington, and they saw Matt Garza really put on a performance in that 7th inning. Matt Garza with a couple of walks, obviously running out of gas a bit, but 2 on and 2 out. He got the 3-2 strikeout of Darren Mastroianni.
Well, that was a battle that inning. He had to throw a lot of pitches at the end of his time on the mound. It's one thing to throw whatever he threw, 25 pitches in the 1st inning, but he's throwing it in the 7th inning after he'd thrown 85 or 90 pitches. Ends up somewhere around 120 pitches. And that's one competitive effort right there. Great job.
And that 1 run came on the first batter he faced in the 1st inning. Brian Dozier hit a pitch just inside the foul pole, about 10 rows deep on the left field line. And that was the only damage in the run column that Matt Garza had tonight. So the Rangers see if they get a little pickup from the gutty performance of Matt Garza in the top of the 7th inning. Bottom of the 7th, it'll be the bottom 3rd of the order to face Mike Pelfrey. Mike Maddox continuing to talk to Matt Garza. Mitch Moreland will start things off. Moreland has twice flied to left. 0 for 2 tonight, hitting .243. Pelfrey's first pitch of the bottom of the 7th inning is popped high in the air, and that will be back out of play down the left field side. 0-1, the count to Moreland. Rangers kind of got to Pelfrey with 2 outs in the 6th inning. Had back-to-back singles by Beltre and Przinsky, but couldn't do anything with them. And that was the first time in 4 innings that Pelfrey had allowed anything to the Rangers. Right-hander nods in agreement. And the 0-1 pitch. A ball and a strike. Belfry still getting it up there. 93 miles an hour on that fastball.
Both guys have been impressive tonight.
One and one the count. Now 1-2. Caleb Thielbar is the left-hander in the Twins bullpen now. Moreland waiting. Belfry back to him. Hard hit ground ball, but a nice kangaroo hop up into the glove of Brian Dozier. One gone. And Tanner Shepard's loosening in the Ranger bullpen. Jurich and Profar now will step in. Profar 1 for 2 tonight. Singled in the second, struck out in the 5th inning. Belfry with 6 punch-outs tonight. Goodness. Our AT&T U-verse rewind from last night. Jurickson Profar first time up. Liam Hendricks and Jurickson left the building. His 5th home run of the year, and maybe a little deja vu from Profar right here would be nice. One ball, one strike. Belfry stays right on top of the pitching mound between pitches. Doesn't stray very far. Way inside. That almost got Profar. I don't know how in the world he got out of the way of that, to be quite honest.
The only way he got out of the way of that, he's only 20 years old.
Yeah.
He's still nimble enough to get out of the way. That would have hit most people right in the kneecap, too.
That was midway in the batter's box.
Pretty good agility.
Now the 2-1 pitch from Belfry. And he goes right back to the outside corner at 95 to even the count at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Next pitch to left field. Willingham toward the line, coming in now as he moves over there, makes the grab, and that is out number 2. It'll bring up David Murphy. Well, folks, the inaugural Eli Young Band's house party comes to Rangers Ballpark on Saturday, November the 9th. Lineup includes Eli Young, their band, the Josh Abbott Band, Thompson Square, and Easton Corbin. Tickets start at just $25. Get yours early because prices will go up on September the 14th. Go to TexasRangers.com/Eli Young Band for tickets. David Murphy 0 for 2 tonight. A strikeout and a ground ball to second base. Base is empty, 2 away here in the Rangers 7th. Belfry with the 0-1 pitch coming to Murphy. Now 0-2. One thing about Mike Belfry, he's figured out that Wally Bell will give a little bit on that outside corner to left-handers, and he just doesn't miss it. He throws it out there. Time and time again.
That's all you got. All you should do right now. There's where the catcher is, and there's where he's trying to throw it.
1-2 now to Murph. 77% fastballs. That's a little bit deceiving because that's about 3 different pitches. He's got a cutter. He's got maybe a 4-seam, if you will, a harder one, then a 2-seamer that does all kinds of stuff. And Murphy reaching for it, can't catch it. Oh, 7 strikeouts now for Pelfrey. Rangers down in order. We're going to the 8th inning in Arlington. Rangers 1, Twins 1. The Rangers Player of the Month for August be, and 42% of you said Adrian Beltre will be the popular choice. Martin Perez got 21%, AJ Pierzynski at 20%, and Elvis at 17%. We appreciate your participation. And we will go to the top of the 8th inning. Matt Garza's night has ended. He worked 7 innings and very, very good baseball. Jason Frazier comes out of the Ranger pen to take over.
Yeah, Jason Frazier, numbers get better as the season's gone on. ERA down to 2.68, strikeout per inning, fastball touching 94 now, 92, 93 all the time. Good changeup. Doing a great job. Enjoying pitching in a pennant race, he says.
So Frazier will work to Pedro Florimon, the number 9 hitter. Switch hitter batting from the left side, and Adrian Beltre drawn down the line from third as Florimon pops the first pitch foul to the left. It is 0-1. Florimon tonight has grounded to second and struck out. Matt Garza in his 7 innings of work allowed just 3 hits and a run, and coming on the Ryan Dozier leadoff home run in the first inning. 3 walks, 9 strikeouts. A bunt is fouled away. That had Beltre well down the line. No balls, 2 strikes. Frazier making his 9th appearance this month. In only 1 has he allowed a run, and that was just 1 run to Houston. And he picked up the victory in that ball game. That was down at Minute Maid Park. Out of play to the left. And it remains no balls, 2 strikes. Jason has worked a total of 8 innings in the month, and he's allowed a total of 2 hits. Right-hander staring in for the sign. He comes set. And misses high. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Florimon is the one guy you want to keep off the base paths. He has that excellent speed and can create havoc in a 1-1 ball game. Good pitch in on his fist, but he fought it off foul. Still a ball and 2 strikes. Casey Fiend, hard throwing right-hander, up and loosening in the Twins pen. Frazier's ready. Again, the 1-2. In the air to center field. Jonas Martin started back, now comes in a few steps, makes the grab, and Florimon is retired for out number 1. It'll take the Twins back to the top of their order for Brian Dozier. Dozier, that leadoff home run, is 15th of the year. Also flied out to center and grounded out to third. Dozier, a .242 hitter as he faces Jason Frazier. And takes a fastball inside corner for strike 1.
Good fastball at 94. A lot of strikes, 6 out of 7 for Jason.
Oh, 1 pitch is off the outside. 1-1 now. Outfield, shitting Dozier slightly around to the right side. Infield, slightly around to the left. See on an overhead shot. That kind of alignment. High fastball, that's fouled straight back. Well, Frazier with the advantage in the count now. It's a ball and 2 strikes. We mentioned Dozier with the home run leading off the game is now the all-time best in Twins history for second baseman in hitting home runs. Past Tim Tuffle with that 15th home run. Lines it to left field. Murphy going over to see if he can't cut it off. He does in the alley. Going for 2. The throw is on the money. Forget it.
When will they ever learn? You cannot run on the Ranger outfield.
And with 1 out, not a good gamble by Dozier. He is thrown out from here to Waxahachie by David Murphy.
I guess he's going to make it a lot with certain left fielders, but the Ranger outfield can throw, boy. Gets rid of it quickly and just drops it right on top of the bag. Dozier committed, and right now he knows he's going to be out unless Ian drops the throw in. Or else he can evade the tag. But look at that throw. It's like a pitch from 60 feet away.
Just to make sure, Ian tagged him on both knees. No, the hit is nullified. And with 2 outs, bases empty, Chris Herman takes strike 1. Now we'll go back to it. A lot of credit, certainly to the outfielders, but Gary Pettis gets all the credit in the world, too, for getting these guys out there on a daily basis and practicing that specific play.
No doubt.
Into the alley, into toward the line, cutting the ball off and turning and making an accurate throw to second base. Gary, very, very good at getting those guys accustomed to not only being able to do that, but thinking about it before it happens, so you're ready mentally to get the job done. 1-1 pitch, and that's high and outside. 2-1 to Chris Herman. Herman has struck out twice tonight and walked. 0 for 2 officially. Jason Frazier peering in for the sign, the right-hander. Okays. And throws outside. Fastball is fouled back. 2-2.
They say it all the time. If you're not able to get a base hit to help your team, you can help your team in a lot of different ways. Make a defensive play, run the bases. And David hasn't had anything going offensively, but that's a big play defensively.
Profar to the backhand. Straightens, throws, and gets it. So a base hit, but that's taken away by David Murphy, and a great throw into second. 3 up, 3 down as you watch David Murphy gun down Brian Dozier at second. That kept the score tied at 1.
Way to go, Aaron. Here's the bag. Congratulations. I like the shades right there. Anything else you like to say?
Go! Let's go, Beltray!
We're back to Beltray now.
Let's go, Beltray!
All right. How about Rangers?
Let's go, Rangers!
There you go. Progressive fan of the game. Go, big guy.
Oh, man.
That kid's
Well,
great.
both starting pitchers now, after great outings, finished for the night. Pelfrey done, and Casey Fiend, right-hander, on to take over.
He's having a solid season. 61 appearances, tied for the 4th most in the American League. 48 strikeouts in his last 39 innings. He's got a good arm. Strikeout pitcher. Rangers probably glad to see Mike Pelfrey out of the game, though. They couldn't do anything against him. He was, once he got past that first inning, it was lights out. No walks, 8 strikeouts.
Leonis Martin takes the pitch inside, and that moves the count to 2 balls and no strikes. Now Martin trying to get aboard, start off the Ranger 8th inning. Top of the order facing Fiend in this 8th. Fiend, the 29-year-old, he's from Santa Rosa, California, up north. Goes that pitch. Knee high on the inside corner. It's 2-1. Leonis tonight has flied out all 3 times that he's come up. And he's ahead in the count here. 3-1 now to Fiend. Leonis trying to get aboard to start off this 8th inning. He'll be followed by Adam Rosales.
Get your leadoff guy with speed on the bases.
Fiend's 3-1. Now 3-2. The right-hander sets at the letters. Payoff pitch got him swinging. The Fiend comes back from being down in the count, 3-1, and with a little help from Leonis Martin, ends up striking him out to start off the 8th inning.
They just threw that ball right by him. Pitch before it might have been ball 4. It was a borderline pitch. That last one was a pretty good pitch to hit. Just couldn't come up with any contact on it.
No, one gone. Here's Adam Rosales for his third at bat of the night. He is 0 for 2 so far. A ground out, a strikeout. He waves at the first fiend offering for strike 1. Again, in case you joined us late, Rosales took over in the first inning for Elvis Andrus, who had to leave the game. His back stiffened up on him while he was running the bases. Check swing. There's Elvis out on the bench now, so probably in between getting treatment sessions on that back, coming out to check out how his teammates are doing. Give Derek Holland a little grief. Slow roller hit out toward short. Charging and not able to come up with a Florimon as it go off his bare hand. Now you've got all kinds of twin activity at second base.
If he had gone on that play, he would end up on third.
Probably.
Because there's no one at third base right now. The catcher's at first base, the pitcher's at second base. All the fielders are on the right side of the infield. Now, he made the right choice, because if the guy gets the ball and throws it, he might be out. But watch what happens at the end of the play. Ball goes into left field. He doesn't know it. Now he rounds the bag. Plouffe throws it into the ground, and if he's at second base, he could have just kept right on going because there's nobody at third. That would have been some kind of play.
Yeah, it would have been. You're right. That throw was just a little offline, a little short. So the Rangers get a man aboard now, and first ball swinging. Ian Kinsler pops it up. Foul territory. The first baseman, Colabello, makes the catch. Yet on one pitch, Kinsler is out number 2 with Rosales staying at first base. And it'll be up to Adrian Beltre if the Rangers are to do anything here in the 8th inning.
Third baseman, Adrian Beltre.
Well, Beltre coming to the plate 1 for 2 tonight with a sacrifice fly. And Joe Nathan getting ready in that Rangers bullpen. Beltre last time up hit a sharp single to center field. In the 3rd inning, he struck out all 3 of the at-bats against Mike Pelfrey. He takes a strike from Casey Fiend. Beltre hitting at .327 as he faces Fiend. Rosales the runner at first. 2 outs here in the 8th inning. And Fiend will drive Rosales back with a throw. Fiend looking in for the sign, has one that he wants. Rip and a miss by Beltre as Fiend went upstairs. And it's 0-2 to Adrian. Beltre in an 0-2 hole. Fiend peering in for the sign. Rosales the lead from first. Got him swinging. 3 pitches and Beltre is retired. Rangers gone in the 8th. No runs a hit. They strand one. We're going to the 9th inning. Rangers 1, Twins 1. Fox Sports Southwest.
Nathan time coming up for the Rangers. We've had a very well-pitched ball game here to talk about. And coming up on Rangers Eye, presented by Esurance, we'll have Larry Hardy, former Rangers pitching coach, here to talk about it with us. We'll also hear from Ron Washington and Matt Garza. Look at tomorrow's finale against the Twins and get you ready for those expanded rosters as we turn the calendar to September. All of that is coming up right after the game. We hope you join us. But for now, we turn it back over to Steve Busby and Tom Grieve, guys.
Thank you, Dana. And we head to the ninth inning, and Joe Nathan is indeed on the hill for the Rangers as he becomes the third pitcher used tonight by Ron Washington.
Oh, no save opportunity, but a win opportunity. Shut the Twins down in the top of the ninth and score in the bottom of the ninth. That's Wash's plan. And the way Joe's pitched this year, distinct possibility he could do that. 57 strikeouts in 52 innings. Only given up a couple of home runs, 162 opponent's batting average.
Josh Willingham, the first hitter that Nathan faces, and Joe fires a strike. 0-1 the count. Willingham has struck out, grounded out, and popped out tonight. Nathan to the wind and fires strike two. Joe last worked 4 days ago in Seattle when he picked up save number 38. 1 ball, 2 strikes now. Willingham waiting. He's batting .210 as he faces Nathan. Now 2-2. Willingham with a dozen home runs and 45 RBI. And again, this is a guy you don't want to mess with the possibility of a home run, a pitch that he can hit out of the ballpark.
Well, he threw him 2 fastballs on the outside corner for 0-2, and now it's 3-2. 3 straight sliders have missed way out of the strike zone, down and away. First 2 pitches located perfectly right on the outside corner.
Well, Willingham trying to get aboard to start the ninth inning. Ryan Domit, the DH, will follow. Nathan, a big sigh, into the wind he goes. Payoff pitch. Called strike 3. Threw him a 4th straight slider, and Willingham caught window shopping.
That's the second time he's taken that pitch. He took it in the first inning on the strike him out, throw him out double play. Slider from Matt Garza, same thing. Slider right down the middle of the plate, it looked like, right in the inside half of the plate. Got him looking, thought it was inside, but it came back and caught the corner. He knew it.
Well, that is out number 1. Now here's Domit, and he takes strike 1. Domit a couple of strikeouts and a walk. He walked leading off the 7th inning. What turned out to be Matt Garza's last inning. Oh, 1 pitch. Late swing and a miss is Nathan. Again, 2 fastballs, and he's ahead 0-2.
Same thing. Go to work on him now.
Is it against the rules to throw 3 straight fastballs?
No.
Did you do that? Okay. He tried it and just missed.
See, that proves it.
Yeah, there you go.
If you had any doubt, there it is.
AJ says, why don't we make it 4 in a row? And Nathan says, fine, we'll do that. 1-2 pitch is out of play to the left. And Glenn Perkins and again Caleb Thielbar. Pair of left-handers up. Perkins in case the Twins take a lead. Perkins picked up his save last night. Another 1-2 pitch. And that breaking ball just missed low.
That was close to being a strike. Tough pitch to lay off of, too.
Yeah, that had a chance. Target set outside. Nathan's 2-2. And it's 3-2. So for the second straight hitter, Nathan has gone from 0-2 to 3-2. Nathan to the wind, the payoff pitch. In the air, down the left side. Long run for everybody involved. That ball will be back about 4 rows. Beltre and Murphy the closest to it. And out of their reach by about 3 rows. We'll come back and try it again on 3-2.
Well, kind of a borderline pitch down around the knees. Probably too close to take, though.
Well, this crowd of just over 36,000 on hand here tonight. Getting behind Joe Nathan and the Rangers. 3-2 with 1 out to Ryan Doman. Call strike 3. A breaking ball through the back door. And Nathan has back-to-back called third strikes.
Oh, almost the exact same pitch, only this time to a left-hand hitter. First one came back and caught the inside pitch to Willingham. This one right on the corner, on the outside corner to a left-hand hitter. Pretty much the same pitch, though. Not an easy pitch to hit.
2 gone now. It brings up Trevor Plouffe. Ball 1. Plouffe has struck out and grounded out twice. He has had good success against Joe Nathan, 2 for 4. And he's going to be 3 for 5 as he dumps one into center field. Jonas Martin over to cut that ball off, and Plouffe aboard here with 2 outs in the 9th inning. Chris Colabello will be the hitter.
First baseman Chris Colabello.
Colabello walking to the plate, 0 for 2 tonight. He has walked, struck out, and grounded out. And we're going to have a pinch runner. Doug Bernier has come off the bench, and he's going to pinch run for Trevor Plouffe. So Bernier, with good speed, is the runner now at first, representing the go-ahead run for the Twins with 2 outs here in the 9th inning. Colabello in, waiting for the pitch, and Nathan has the sign he wants. A check of first. And he will drive Bernier back. Now Nathan, once again, ready to work. And misses low and outside for ball 1. Colabello taking his time getting back in the batter's box. Nathan's 1-0 pitch. And that's outside, 2-0.
Joe's thrown 18 pitches now, 9 balls, 9 strikes. Got a couple of strikeouts, got to come back here and get Colabello.
Bernier the lead from first. The 2-0 pitch. Hit slowly down to third. Beltre cuts it off. Patented off-balance throw gets it. Adrian Beltre throwing from down south and just did get Colabello at first. And that will end the 9th inning. No runs, a hit, and 1 left for Minnesota. Rangers coming about the bottom of the 9th inning. a 1-1 game. Brought to you by your Texas Ford dealer. Don't miss the Ford Summer Spectacular featuring blockbuster deals. Now playing at your best in Texas Ford dealer. By AT TEX U-verse TV. Check availability at 1-800-PICK-ATT. Rethink possible. And by Progressive. Visit Progressive.com today. Now the bottom of the ninth inning in a 1-1 ball game. Caleb Thielbar is coming into the ball game, and he will face A.J. Brzezinski, Alex Rios, and Mitch Moreland.
Oh, he's doing a great job. 38 games, a 1.05 ERA. Opponents are only hitting 153 against him. He had 17 scoreless appearances, 19 2/3 innings at one point in time. Well, it's a name you probably haven't heard much about, but the numbers are pretty good.
Well, Thielbar, a 26-year-old out of South Dakota State University. And A.J. Brzezinski waves at the first breaking ball. It is 0-1. Thielbar, originally with the Milwaukee Brewers organization. And A.J. fouls back the next pitch very quickly down in the count 0-2. And Doug Bernier stays in the ballgame after pitch running in the top of the ninth. He is taking over at third base for Trevor Plouffe. Thielbar, a 6-footer, 197 pounds, and pitch is popped up shallow left field for him on going out. Makes the catch, and Brzezinski is retired for out number 1, and Alex Rios will be next.
Right fielder, Alex Rios.
Well, AT TEX U-verse TV would like to remind you we'll be back here tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock. Fox Sports Southwest, the conclusion of this 3-game series. Travis Blackley will make his third Rangers start. Kevin Correa brings in an 8-10 mark for the Twins. 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, right here on Fox Sports Southwest. Alex Rios 0 for 3 tonight, and takes a fastball from Thielbar outside for ball 1. Rios twice has grounded to third, and he's also flied to right field. Ball 2. The left-hander back to the plate and misses badly outside. 3 balls and no strikes. Well, Rios a distinct advantage in the count of 3-0, and Chris Herman going to go out and talk to Thielbar. Tanner Shepard's up in the Ranger pen. Andy Hawkins, Ranger bullpen coach, talking to him, getting him mentally prepared if he has to pitch in the 10th inning. Now Thielbar ready for the 3-0 offering. Belted down the left field line. It's hooking. It is a fair ball. One hop off the wall into second base easily with the one-out double is Alex Rios, and the Rangers have the winning run at second with just one out.
That's a good idea there. Let him swing 3-0. He took a little bit off that pitch, and he was a little bit out in front of it. He'd been throwing 91 or 92. That was 87 or 88 right down the middle of the plate. And Alex has a good swing at it. Nice smooth swing, and barely keeps it fair down the left field line. Well, the Rangers have one out and the winning run at second base. Jeff Baker's going to pinch hit for Mitch Moreland right here, trying to win it for the Rangers.
I would be very surprised if Jeff Baker had a chance to swing the bat, but that's all right. You got first base open, and you got Jurickson Profar, a little bit lesser of a threat in the on-deck circle. We'll see what Ron Gardner wants him to do.
I think he's on your same page as you are, Buzz.
No, with first base open, it makes no sense whatsoever to let Jeff Baker get a chance to hurt you, to win the ball game. And Gardner looking at the matchups. Well, he's got some kind of color-coded matchup down there, matchup sheet. Look at all those. It'd be a little bit confusing for me. I'm colorblind.
I think it's a sheet for his fantasy football draft.
That could be.
I think it's his pref list right there.
Could be. Who's he got in the third round?
Green are the running backs.
Okay.
Purple are receivers.
And the fourth wide one is issued, so Baker gets the intentional pass. First and second now. And Jurickson Profar coming to the plate, a chance to win it.
Well, Jurickson's had some good at-bats. Had a bunch of good at-bats last night. He's had a hard hit ball for a base hit tonight. Turn around and bat right-handed right here, shoot one right down the right field line.
And say, I'd like to see him hit that ball that he hit last night that Morneau took away from him.
Yeah.
I don't think Colabello's going to do the same thing.
Yeah, I don't think he's quite as tall as Morneau.
Profar 1 for 3 tonight. That was a second inning single. Since then, he has struck out and fly to left field. He will turn around to bat from the right side against the left-hander Thielbar. And now we're going to get a visit from Rick Anderson. Get the entire Twins infield in convening on the mound. Rick Anderson wanted to make sure that everybody knows what their assignment is, and that Thielbar and Herman are together on how they want to work the Profar. Rangers with runners in scoring position just below 300 since the end of July. That's the second best in Major League Baseball. The Profar steps in. You got the winning run at second. Alex Rios, Jeff Baker, the run at first. And ball one is a bit low. Rios establishing his lead at the bottom of your screen at second. 1-0 pitch. He had a good rip of that fastball and fouled it off. 1-1. Ron Washington. Not much for the skipper to do right here except cheer for Jurickson Profar to end this ball game. Profar, a 190 hitter from the right side as opposed to 261 from the left side. inside, almost hit him with a breaking ball.
That would have hit Craig Gentry.
Oh, yeah.
He just stands there.
Would have
hit him right in the leg and off to first base. He would have gone.
So far, a little imitation of a top spinning around. 2 balls, 1 strike, the count. Way outside, 3-1.
You got to make sure you get a strike right here. Yes, if you take a strike, no big deal. Make him throw you 2, but if you're going to swing, it's got to be a good pitch to hit.
With that in mind, do you put the take on for him?
I might.
Yeah.
I might.
Yeah.
I might. Guys don't like to get the take sign, but get that guy to third with 1 out and win the ball game.
3-1 pitch is sky to center field. That chases Thomas back a little bit. He's there. Makes the catch. Tagging at second. Moving to third is Rios. Staying at first is Baker. So now with 2 outs, the Rangers have runners at the corners. And Craig Gentry is coming up to pinch hit for David Murphy.
He got a pretty good pitch to hit. Had a good swing at it. He just got underneath it.
And with Gentry announced, now Ron Gardenhire is going to come out. He's going to make the move to the bullpen. Well, he's got the right-hander in the pen. He wants to bring him on to face Gentry. And it'll be Craig against the right-hander when we come back after this timeout for a pitching change. A 1-1 ball game in the bottom of the 9th. Right back after this. And that's Alex Rios, who's down at third base. And the man trying to prevent Alex Rios from scoring is into the game, and Josh Renicky.
Well, Renicky pitched in last night's ball game. This will be his 55th appearance. His job is pretty simple. Craig Gentry's job is pretty simple. Get a base hit, win the ball game.
Well, Gentry, pinch hitting for David Murphy. Runners at first and third, 2 outs, bottom of the 9th inning. Gentry came on as a pinch hitter last night and had a trip. First pitch is a little bit low for ball 1. Gentry for the season, a .254 hitter.
6 for 18 as a pinch hitter.
The 1-0. That's in for a strike. That pitch right at the bottom of the zone, and that's where Renicky likes to live. Right-hander sets a check of Rios. In the dirt. Nice stop by Chris Herman. It's 2-1. Ron Gardenhire trying to guide his ball club to a second straight win. He's got to escape this 9th inning first. A 1-1 game. And ball 3 is low. So Gentry with the advantage in the count now, 3-1. If Greg extends the 9th inning without winning it, Leonis Martin waits in the on-deck circle. Many in this crowd have just over 36,000 on their feet. A strike, the count is full. So with 2 outs now, Jeff Baker will be off and moving from first. Three balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Renicky ready. The payoff pitch. Inside, ball 4, and that'll load him up for Leonis Martin. A good job by Gentry to work that walk. And yeah, kind of a hot night over there on the Twins bench.
That's not what Gardenhire was looking for,
No,
the walk right there.
Sure wasn't.
You got to bring in the lefty. Doesn't look like he's feeling too good about it right now. But he's going to do it.
Yep. You've got to bring him in to face Leonis Martin. And well, the one guy that Scott Renicky was brought in to get. He lost on the base on balls as Gentry worked that free pass. So another pitching change underway here. Now the bases are loaded in a 1-run game. We'll be back. 1-1 game. We'll be back after this. Morgan, the director of in-game, in-park entertainment, getting that job done. And Ryan Dunsing, the left-hander, has come on. He inherits the bases loaded and 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning.
Saw Dunsing in last night's game as well. It'll be his 61st game. He's pitched in a lot of games himself.
Dunsing faced Leonis Martin last night and got him to ground to second base. Here he's got, well, the bases are full. The one that counts is at third base. And that is Alex Rios carrying the winning run in this game. 1-1 the score. Leonis Martin 0 for 4 tonight. Dunsing's first pitch to him. Takes a strike at the knees. It is 0-1. Martin has struck out and flied out 3 times. Dunsing, a long look in. The left-hander is ready. And ball one is a bit low. Leonis eyeing that pitch over pretty well. 36,041. I'd venture to say that none have left. The 1-1 pitch. Now 1-2. Elvis Andrus and his teammates. Elvis there with the hoodie on. Trying to get an excuse to celebrate right here. The 1-2 pitch is coming. Up the middle, into center field. A base hit, start the celebration.
There's your excuse, Buzz.
Alex Rios scores. The Rangers walk it off 2-1. Leonis Martinez mobbed just behind the mound, and rightfully so. A game-winning ninth-inning single, driving home Alex Rios with the winner.
Well, he kind of got him to fish for the slider before that. A little surprised he didn't try another one. He tried a fastball. A high fastball. He just put it in play and hit it up the middle and won the ball game. Good job.
High fives and hugs all around for the Rangers. Rangers get to 79-56. Second time this year they've been 23 games over 500.
He couldn't have thrown him a better pitch to hit, that's for sure. Nice high fastball. Just goes right back through the middle with it. And that is the game winner. Nicely done.
Well, the Rangers get it done in the ninth inning, and Ron Washington and Jackie Moore, the traditional hug back pat, as Leonis Martin drives home Alex Rios with the game winner. And right now, let's head down to Ali Lucia with Alex Rios. Ali?
Thanks, Buzz. Alex, a big win for this ball club, a walk-off win. Walk us through that last play.
No, it was an exciting game. You know, both pitchers did a great job on the mound, and it was exciting. You know, offensively, we battled, and as you saw in that last inning, and that's what we are all about. You know, we're going to battle every game and try to win games as much as we can.
12 runs for you as a Ranger, none bigger than the one tonight. What are you enjoying about being in this Texas uniform?
The whole energy that the team has. You know, it's been a while since I played in a team with this much energy. Winning is unbelievable. The welcome that I got here was it was a warm welcome, and I'm so glad to be here helping the team. So.
This win also the 20th win for this ball club, but a fitting way to end this month of August for this team, you think?
Well, yeah. We've like I said, we've been playing good baseball. We've been doing a great job defensively, offensively. So that's all you can ask for. So hopefully we can keep the momentum going towards the end of September.
Thanks, Rios. Enjoy the win.
Thank you.
Buzz, back to you.
All right, Ali, thank you very much. Very happy Alex Rios, and rightfully so, as the Rangers able to walk it off and set up the rubber game of this three-game series tomorrow afternoon. Rangers, in the meantime, will enjoy this 2-1 walk-off victory. We'll be back to wrap things up for you from Rangers Ballpark in Arlington. Dana Larson is coming up right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.